Tonight's courtroom hearing starts with a simple marijuana possession charge, but within seconds, the judge starts poking holes in the entire case. What looked like an easy arrest suddenly turns into a lesson about weak evidence, bad assumptions, and guilt by association. Then things escalate even further when another defendant clashes with police during a disturbance call at a university campus, and the judge openly questions whether officers actually had enough to arrest her at all. Stick around, because this hearing goes from routine to chaotic fast, and the judge's reactions are absolutely brutal.
What? It was... What? I was in the passenger seat.
Stop. Don't. We'll get there.
I don't want to see you either.
Ms. Jackson, you now stand charged with possession of marijuana. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. On September 26, 2024, officers conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle bearing an expired agent tag. Officers made contact with the occupant of the vehicle. Defendant Cephas was arrested for a DWLI, and defendant Jackson had active warrants out of Webster PD. Officers conducted an inventory of the vehicle and located 2 small black bags containing a green leafy substance on the passenger side where defendant Jackson was sitting, and a backpack containing a firearm in the trunk. The substance was identified as marijuana based on training and experience. The weight was 4 grams or 0.141 ounces. The defendants denied ownership of both. The defendants were identified with Texas driver's license.
Okay, I have so many questions.
Yes, Judge.
So first off, you said defendants.
Yes,
plural.
there are 2 defendants, Your Honor.
Right. So the driver.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then the weed was found where?
Under the passenger seat where defendant Jackson was sitting.
In what?
In a 2 small black bags.
How do you attribute the bags to her?
Your Honor, they were just located on the side of the vehicle where she was sitting.
So, could be his. Right? Just puts it there. I don't know.
Yes, Your Honor, but the affirmative link would be in the proximity of where she was sitting as well.
Have anything else that identifies the bag as hers? The guy is the person's a guy, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so is there a lipstick? Is there anything else that would identify the bag as hers?
No, Your Honor. All we have is that it was located on the passenger side glove box, just those 2 small black bags.
Glove box.
Yes, Your Honor.
Absolutely.
It was in the glove box.
Stop it. Are you losing?
This is where the hearing takes a sharp turn. The prosecution is trying to connect the marijuana to Miss Jackson simply because the bags were found near where she was sitting. But the judge immediately starts asking the questions that matter. Was there any fingerprint evidence? Any personal items connecting the bags to her? Anything at all proving ownership besides proximity? And once the prosecutor admits there's basically no direct evidence, the entire case starts falling apart in real time. What makes this moment so interesting is how quickly the judge recognizes the danger of assumptions. Just because someone is near contraband doesn't automatically mean it belongs to them. The judge even jokes about lipstick being inside the bag, but underneath the humor is a serious legal point about proving possession beyond mere location. And then comes the warning: when you hang with dogs, you get fleas. That line says everything. The judge may not believe the evidence is strong enough for charges, but she's also warning Miss Jackson that the company you keep can absolutely drag you into legal trouble. What do you think? Was Miss Jackson unfairly caught in someone else's mess, or should she still share responsibility for being in that situation?
Yes, sir. That's all we have.
Okay, I'm going to find no probable cause. Be careful with the company you keep. When you hang with dogs, you get fleas, Miss Jackson. You know this. Come on. All right, please, just take a seat. Good morning, Miss Wimbush. Ma'am, you are charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
On September 26, 2024, at approximately 1:15 p.m., an officer responded to a call at the TSU Library Center located at 3100 Claiborne Street in Harris County, Texas, regarding a disturbance. The officer made contact with the individual causing the disturbance, and the defendant approached asking officers what's going on and what did she do. The officers repeatedly asked the defendant to step back, and she became belligerent, asserting that they were at her store. She eventually complied and moved away, but she insisted that a police supervisor be called to the scene. TSU Sergeant Barnett arrived and spoke privately with the defendant. Afterwards, responding officer requested the defendant's information to report her behavior to her supervisor in the university. The defendant refused to provide it and attempted to bypass the officer. When the officer asked her to identify herself again, the defendant declined and attempted to walk away. As the officer tried to detain her, she began to throw herself on the ground and yell, escalating the disturbance. Several officers issued verbal commands for her to comply. The defendant continued to resist, jumping around and asserting her rights. The officer attempted to escort her outside. The defendant then wrapped her arms and legs around a pole, continuing to yell. The officers physically pried her from the pole and detained her. The defendant used her body weight to resist and push against the officers. The defendant was then placed in the back of the patrol car without incident.
Okay.
What was she doing wrong?
So it appears she wasn't the initial person causing the disturbance, but when they came to respond to the disturbance that they were called for, she intervened. And once they asked her to remove herself from the situation,
And you didn't say, when you initially started saying about everything, you didn't say that she was the initial cause of the disturbance, that there was a call for a disturbance. They get out there and she, I guess.
So what it says is that they made contact with the individual that was causing the disturbance, and then the defendant approached asking.
See, right. So she just comes up, starts being nosy, right?
Right.
And then she basically, I guess, is trying to leave. And then they start asking her for her information.
Well, they were asking her to leave the scene so that they can respond to the disturbance, and she wouldn't comply. I think that's the issue, that she wouldn't leave when they asked her.
Did you say that?
Yes. They asked her to move away from the scene and she refused to comply.
Show me, will you read that part again?
Mm-hmm. So when she approached the officers repeatedly asked the defendant to step back, and the defendant became belligerent, asserting that they were at her store. She eventually complied and moved away, but
So she complies, she moves away.
Right. But then she came back.
Okay.
And so at that point, when she returned, they asked her to identify herself. She refused to provide her identification. And then at that point, when they asked her to identify herself, she attempted to bypass the officers.
She leaves. She's trying to leave.
She is attempting to, she's attempting to leave again.
And then they start bucking up to her.
Sure, yeah.
Judge, what is this case?
It's on for tomorrow's docket. Let me give you the cause number. 251-1137.
Sounds like an interference. So
That's what she's charged with. But so sounds like she's got a case of the nosies, you know? She goes up there, allegedly being nosy, leaves, comes back, and then they start asking for her information. She declines to give her information.
So, Judge, what I'm looking at here, just to add context to the situation, she approaches in an unrelated incident, it looks like.
Correct.
She's asking what's going on. Fine. They talk to her individually. Okay. They tell her to leave. She continually asks what's going on. What did she do? She asserts, she becomes belligerent, is what the officer says, asserting that they were at her store, obstructing their investigation. Eventually, I don't know what the time frame is, but they say eventually she complies, moves away, but insisted that they need to call a supervisor to the area. A sergeant then spoke with her privately. After they responded and they requested her information to report her behavior to her supervisor at the university, and to identify her, which she refused to do. She then attempts to bypass officers, They ask her for identification again. They're detaining her. She says no.
But what's the interference? What did she specifically do?
Well,
She's just talking to them.
I understand,
Right.
Judge. She's talking to them, but she's saying that they're at her store. She's belligerent, telling them to leave. They're at her store. The position of the state judge is that did obstruct their investigation. I mean, it's not in this. There's multiple senses of obstruction in our opinion. It's not.
Are you losing right now? Okay.
This second case is honestly fascinating because the judge seems genuinely unconvinced by the prosecution's explanation. At first, officers describe the defendant as interfering with their investigation, but the deeper the judge digs, the more unclear the actual crime becomes. Was she disruptive? Maybe. Was she argumentative? Definitely. But did she truly obstruct police duties enough to justify arresting her? That's where things get shaky. The judge keeps circling back to one critical issue: talking back to officers or questioning them isn't automatically illegal. And you can almost hear the frustration as the prosecution struggles to explain exactly what the interference was. The defendant allegedly walked away multiple times, complied at certain moments, then returned asking questions, which creates a very gray area legally. But then the judge delivers another hard truth that hits way beyond the courtroom: once you enter a power struggle with police officers, you usually lose. Whether fair or unfair, that reality shapes so many encounters like this. And honestly, that warning may have been more important than the probable cause ruling itself. Do you think the officers overreacted here, or did the defendant push things too far?
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do it. All right, I'll find no probable cause.
I'll dismiss the case, Judge.
When you go up and you get into a pissing match with officers, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Every single time. If you go up and you mess with someone who has the power of arrest, you're going to lose every single time. Don't go. It's not hard. I found no probable cause in your case, ma'am. Just be careful. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If I want to press charges,
Don't. You know what? Let sleeping dogs lie. Don't.
they assaulted me, though. They knocked out my tooth. They chipped my tooth. I got bruises on me.
And you can always go file a complaint with internal affairs,
That's what I'm asking.
whatever.
How could I do that? I don't know the protocols.
So, what agency was this? Is this? Did you say it was at a college or?
Yes.
Okay. So you go to the Texas Southern University Police. You go to internal affairs, and you can file a complaint that way. Okay, I would take everything that you have, and that's how you do it. Okay, but just be careful.
I can't even go back to my job because they're trying to ban me.
I don't know. I mean, did they issue some kind of trespass warning?
No, sir.
If there's a trespass warning, be careful. I don't see that one has been filed. They haven't
In the
told me
end,
about any kind of
both
trespass
hearings
or anything.
revealed
So just
something viewers
be
see
careful,
again and again
okay?
inside real courtrooms. Not every arrest automatically equals a strong case. In Miss Jackson's situation, the judge openly questioned the lack of evidence tying the marijuana directly to her, showing how important actual proof is in possession cases. Meanwhile, in the university disturbance case, the judge repeatedly challenged the prosecution's explanation of what specific actions truly amounted to interference with police duties. But beyond the legal arguments, the judge also focused on something practical: avoiding unnecessary escalation. Whether it's being around the wrong people or getting pulled into confrontations with law enforcement, one bad moment can spiral into life-changing consequences incredibly fast. The defendant even claimed she suffered injuries and risked losing her job, proving how quickly these situations can grow beyond the original incident. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.